p.m. and we are coming to you live from the Goethe-Institut here in Accra. It's another evening of poetry, and
Woo!
this is the Goethe Abansuro series. And tonight it's really, really going to be exciting and fun, especially because the poets that I have with me tonight already know each other. I will just give you a brief idea of what to expect of the program tonight. This is actually going to be a themed reading. So I'm going to propose a theme, and both our guests are going to discuss the theme and also read poetry to match the theme. And so that's the way it's going to go. And we are open and accessible to questions from all those who are joining us via whatever means. We are actually accessible on this program tonight via Zoom, via YouTube, via Instagram, and via Facebook. And of course, to those who have been able to join us in person here tonight at the Goethe-Institut in Accra. This program, Poetry Abansuro, is a program that is brought to you as a collaborative effort from the Goethe-Institut Ghana and the Writers Project of Ghana. Now, between now and a little after 8 p.m., we'll be enjoying poetry. I'd like to introduce my guests tonight. One of them is here with me in person. He is Nana Asaase. Nana Asaase is, I think, a name that is almost synonymous with poetry, especially amongst the new and young poets that are gracing the scene in Ghana. His style of writing is very unique, and his style of presentation actually is also very unique. You'll find him performing on stage most of the time, but tonight we have planted him and and we're asking him to do readings. So Nana Asaase is also known as, well, actually, I should put it the other way. You are Philip Boachidua Oyinka, also known as Nana Asaase. He is an award-winning poet from Ghana. He's a spoken word artist and a writer. He's also a trainer in creative writing, and many of his writing has been featured. He has performed at on several platforms across the country and beyond. And one of his works as a short story appeared in the anthology The Sea Has Drowned the Fish. Most recently, Nana Asaase was the best performing poet for the year. It's an award he won at the Entertainment Achievement Awards, which was organized by City TV. So that's very, very good, and congratulations to Nana Asaase for that. Other guest is Dr. Amy Shimson-Santo, and the name I've been practicing. I hope I really got it right. Um, Amy is joining us from California. Amy, if you could speak so that we can hear you.
Hello, hello.
Okay, fantastic. Just to make sure that the link is alive. So, Amy is a poet and a teacher at Claremont Graduate University, and she is the author of Even the Milky Way is Undocumented, and also the chapbook Endless Bowls of Sky. She also has been nominated for several awards and picked up several awards as well. And her writing has appeared in Press Schooner, Art Place America, Geo Humanities, Zocalo Public Square, Tilt West, and the list is quite long, so I will stop here. But that's our other guest joining us from California, Amy Shimson-Santo and Nana Asaase. Welcome to tonight's reading.
Thank you very much, Martin.
And so, what will be happening is, as soon as messages come through, they'll be forwarded to me on my phone, and then I'll pass them on to our guests tonight. What we would like to do this evening is really to begin to interrogate what poetry does for us. And we know that we hear a poem and it strikes us very differently from the way other writing strikes us. And so, how do the poets manage to express what other people cannot? How are they the voice of conscience, the voice of society? And through their writing, we would like to also explore how they present grief, how they present the future, how they present hope. When we run into all these emotions, typically we'll find that a poet has expressed them sometimes in ways that are much deeper than we could ever have thought we could feel ourselves. So that's the way we are going to do it. And so let me start with the one who is sitting with me here in Accra, and Asaase. I would like you to just give me some initial thoughts, about the poet and the voice of the poet as both a recorder of human emotion and somebody who is able to express to the general public their deepest emotions. How do you feel as a poet?
Poet. Okay. Good evening to everybody all over the world, and good evening, Amy. So, as a poet, I say we are God's guinea pigs.
Mm,
He uses us for beautiful experiments so that everybody else
mm,
can then pick and learn lessons.
mm,
A poet is a product of society. And so we only either reflect or refract society, depending on how you choose to look at it.
mm,
And so, let me say, to be a poet is a calling. That's how I see it.
mm,
Virtually like the voice of the prophet,
mm,
taken out of society, yet to show society what we're up to.
mm,
And so, if you invite me to a happening, maybe a fight scene, a battle, a launch of a product, I am only there to record that scene.
mm,
A year later, if you called me to it, I'll be there to help you assess.
mm,
Since I was there to witness, I'm
mm,
just there to capture what society feeds
mm,
and play it back to you when you are calmer.
mm,
In the heat of your emotion, I'm there to bring a critical eye to the situation.
mhm,
And when you are calm, I play it back to you.
mm,
Now, poets, because you are called, you are typically equipped with a unique skill of handling language.
mm,
And so, to me, poetry broken out of the stanza box says it's a unique skill of handling language to have a desired effect on your audience, to elicit a desired response.
mm.
Once these three elements are achieved, I think the calling of the poet has been granted and he can be taken to heaven in chariots of fire.
I like the chariot of fire
You
bit.
so that is just a little to go.
Yeah. And Amy, how would you respond to that?
How would I respond to that? I
Yeah.
really love what Nana Sase said about the guinea pig and also reflecting and refracting.
Mm.
I would say, and first of all, I have to say, happy birthday, Mamla. I have to,
Yes, Martin,
because this is her special day. Yes, we love you.
Yes.
I would
Thank you
say,
so
and
much.
yay. And honestly, I've been, okay, so poetry for me is tied to the beginning of our giving language to the world. It's a natural thing for a lot of us that grew up singing or chanting or praying with our families, that poetry is like where you get to use your own voice without all of the rules you necessarily learned through formal education. And of course, poets study these things too, and we try to get our craft even better. But for me, the root of it is like being a vessel and capturing the energy. And that sounds, it really is, it comes to you physically through the natural world into your body. And I spent many years writing. I spent most of my life writing poetry and just never showing it to everyone. And I have friends who said, your poetry is going to die in your notebook or in the computer, like a dream deferred. And I finally, as I got older, started to share it. But I would call myself a reluctant poet because I grew up with a family who, thought that would be a horrible decision to make, to be an artist. And it's so good at this point in my life now to just be in my power, be a vessel of story. And as my friend Mamla has said, it's not just a choice. It's actually that I'm made of poetry, and you may be made of poetry too.
Yeah. Well,
so it's a way to speak back to society, of course, but it's also a way to connect with the powers of the universe and nature and each other and our past and our future.
I really like the fact that both of you are speaking about poetry as being something quite esoteric.
Yes.
I suppose that's where its power really comes
It
from.
is. It is.
And may I join you also, Amy, in extending happy birthday, congratulations to Mamle. Mamle is director of the Writers Project
Thank
of
you.
Ghana, and she's joining this
Happy
event.
birthday,
Thank
Martina.
you.
Happy birthday, Martina.
Yes. Okay, so let's now start with some readings, and I would like to take a reading first from Amy, And for this first part, I mean, I mentioned earlier that this is a themed reading, but for this first part, what we are going to do is allow the poets to read any poem, to choose any theme at all. And so we'll start with Amy right away. Amy?
Great, thank you. So this poem is actually, I'm going to dedicate this to my daughter who's calling in from Brazil, because when she was a girl, you know, in our family, we have different cultures in our family. And once she wrote a story about how she put her foot in the water and she realized that the water was connected all over the globe, that we don't have to feel worried about, you know, we are already connected, all of us. And it's a funny poem too, because I usually write in free verse, but Villanelle is a structured kind of a poem that you actually have to study it. And, you know, it has a specific repetition and order. But this Villanelle is for Yemanja. And Yemanja, of course, is the mother of the fishes. And so it just basically mixes things up. Villanelle for Yemanja. Ocean holds all languages in her expansive reach. Dark silver nights or crab shell mornings, she connects every continent. I arrive on foot, the gulls with wings, to commune with the source of every syllable. Ocean holds all the languages in her expansive reach. Swirling emerald motion, seabirds hover or skitter on quick canudo legs. She connects every continent. Farther out, pelicans glide along the horizon. Sea lions lift their heads to gulp air. Ocean holds all languages in her expansive reach. Curling waves become frothing foam, my body slowly aging human form, while aquatic shapeshifter connects every continent. Water knows water, H2O and salt to salt, tidal roll, rumble, crash. Ocean holds all the languages in her expansive reach. She connects every continent.
Ocean holds all the languages in her expansive reach.
Wow.
She connects every continent. You know, Nanas, as I'm thinking about this, you know, the last time I was at the beach,
Yeah.
you know, if it didn't strike me, but this is really powerful.
Yeah.
It's that same water, you know, it is connecting different continents.
same
You know,
one you
yeah,
used.
it is the same water
Yeah.
in essence.
No, it's funny.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
mm,
Doesn't it reflect the element of God? When
yeah.
you stand at the shores of the Atlantic,
Mm-hmm.
certain portions might look dirty or different colors. The setting might look different,
Mm-hmm.
but to think you'd go somewhere into South Africa, the setting is different, yet it's the same water.
Mm.
How did the water get there before you? The
Mm.
water. So really, it just takes us into the existence
Yeah.
of all of God, all of language
Mm-hmm.
pouring forth.
Mm.
All of language comes from a certain bedrock,
Mm.
and so art has its beauty in the way poetry expresses itself.
Mm-hmm.
I might be speaking poetry in my mother tongue. You might have an audience that does not understand a word of what I'm speaking, but the energy of the performance,
Mm-hmm.
the energy of the piece radiates
Mm.
to them. I see this so beautifully. That is why we are sharing,
Yeah.
this is the sea, that's Amy over there. That
Yeah.
is the sea
Yeah.
right here, two different parts of the world. Through technology, whatever it is,
Yeah.
distance is no barrier, really.
And the whole thing is about the connectedness.
That's it.
Wow. So that's the first piece from Amy. A fantastic piece. let's hear from you, Nana Asaase, as well.
This one is entitled I Want to Be Your Friend.
Mm.
I love this piece so much because I'm talking about the deliberateness of relating to other people.
Mm.
Being deliberate about it. Being friends with people is not easy.
Mm.
You have to tolerate, you have to endure, but you just have to be that lifeline that somebody needs.
Mm.
And maybe everybody needs a Jonathan or a David in their lives. So everybody needs a you in their lives. So I want to be your friend. Shall we?
Yes.
I want to be your friend. Want to make you stop and look into the skies when all the world threatens to leave us behind. I want to be your friend, the one whose words make meaning, even when the heart runs its own miles and leaves the limbs behind. One day, when we look back over the road we have come, we shall have memories to count for the journey. So I am willing, if you are to, let us make some more, so that when we share with all the world, there would still be enough to keep us together. I want to be your friend, to smile in the face of your temper and its storms. I want to be the one to make you mad and calm in one breath when no one else would dare. Honestly, I would like you very much when you are rude, and I would pat you when you are cool. And through ups and downs, we'll walk and run, we'll stop and punt, we'll yell and rant, we'll do and can't, we'll venture to count all of life's simple joys. I want to be your friend, to cheer loudest when the world celebrates you, to pack up the pieces when all is done, to be the one to leave last holding your hand. My friend, by when we would have done all of these, we would have had our fill of life. I would have you sing for me if I depart first, or be glad to chant your names if you become an ancestor before. But it would be beautiful if we jump out of this dance together, facing our backs, no, maybe locking our eyes, knowing that we have filled the world with our steps. I want to be your friend when we are immortal and our names are taken with reverence. We shall look down and smile, benevolent spirits with a place in earth and sky. But for now, slow down. Before all of these lofty dreams take shape, lend me just a little bit of your life. I want to be your friend. Thank you.
The deliberateness of friendship is
Yes.
not something that maybe would cross our minds
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
I when you started, I began to think, well, many a time you would ask, how did you meet your partner?
Yeah.
But how did you meet your friend? Not so often. And I
Often.
was just I was
Yeah.
just thinking like, I have these friends. When was the first time I met them?
Yeah. You can't
It's
even
I
remember.
can't remember. It's so subsumed in the friendship.
Yeah.
And Amy, this whole idea of friendship being a deliberate action, is something
Oh
that you
yeah.
must work at. And I think we know about it for all sorts of relationships, but
Yeah.
somehow we don't think that friendship must be nurtured. Do you have any thoughts about this idea that Nanasa has
Yes,
presented?
absolutely. I love that that's the poem you first. I've actually heard that before, so I'm already a fan of that poem. And I love that as a marker. I hear what you're saying. Like, for example, we might over prioritize quote unquote family and forget the importance of our friendships when we've learned in COVID and in any difficult time the importance of our circle of our friends and our connections. To me, I get so much nourishment from that. But also, I think, and I think Sabata, our friend Sabata, is also on this, and he turned me on to this amazing book that probably everybody knows. I had never read it, by Ngugi, on decolonizing the mind. And I just think that one of the things the artist can bring is to say, let's think beyond only political doors, only separated a political discourse that basically belongs to power and institutions. Let us find our power in our truth regarding our relations. Let us learn to be in good relations, and friendship has to be the root of that.
Hmm. So I want to be your friend.
Yes.
And Asaase, I guess.
You're welcome to be my friend. You're welcome to be my friend, Martin.
Okay, thank you. And for those who are joining us by all the different means, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and also Zoom, you can send any messages or comments, and then we will get them through to us on stage here, and Amy and Nana Sase can answer them if there are questions. So let's now move to the next set of readings. And here we would like to hear from the poets about nature. We want to figure out the place of the poet as a wanderer, the poet who goes out into the world and brings us different perspectives. And also the poet as a wanderer, the one who looks out at the stars at night and is able to channel the beauty through words to us. So we want to listen to Amy and also Nana Asaase tell us what they have in terms of this theme. So, Amy, we'll take it from you first.
Okay, I'm gonna, because Nana is such an uplifting energy, I'm gonna choose a kind of a playful and raw poem. It's just about the letters. It's called Garden of Letters. I've never shared it with anyone else. Well, I've shared it only with one other friend. So since we're being friends today, I'm going to read you guys something new. Garden of Letters. A. Powerless to the gigantesque, I plant minutia and observe Earth is a laboratory. B. It doesn't matter what I think. Life will grow where it wants. C. I dug a hole in the clay for sage and it withered in the shade. I moved it to a sun bucket, but its thin roots needed space. After multiple migrations, I found a barrel, split it in two, and replanted it in the open, full light. D. Bees and bugs approve. Birds believe this is the place to be. C. A woman of the city, I have no green thumbs, but as I fill containers with soil and plants, they tell me how they are and what they want. F. Not here. Yes, there. Be patient. Pay attention. G. Fingernails mooned with dirt. Skin of the hands speckled with wounds that are healing. H. Mint and oregano quiver in the wind. A wooden chair comes apart at the joints. I pound the slats back into place. I. Piles of dried plant detritus, wilted tubes of blossomless calla lilies, bent and fallen, tangled fireworks of purple sage. J. A fallen orange rots outside, split open on the ground by the rain gutter. Alone, it fell or was mauled by a squirrel. K. Oregano sees what happened to the mint. They're in the same family. One has a ceramic pot and the other does not. There are not enough pots or planters for all the ideas. L. Bees and bugs hover around me like they do the rosy red valerian. They wonder if I am pollinatable. M. If bugs have plants and plants have hummingbirds, what do I have? And if I sit here still enough, beneath the lemon tree, 4 feet from the fig, 90 degrees from the lavender, what will I grow into? Oh, I become the doctor of chrysanthemums, wed to an avocado tree, kissing coral roses each morning to begin again. P. The rake, the hoe, and shovel lined up along the wall are guardians of this small, verdant space. Q. Plants keep reaching out to each other, spinning tendrils, weaving twigs, tangled coexistence. They wrap their hair together. R. Green crawlers sealed the apricot tree, loving it. The vine climbed the branches, escaped over the wall, hopped onto the light post, ignoring the parking placard. S. They made a perfect team, accomplices in the act. A beanstalk would finally reach the clouds and kill the giant. T. And I know this is weird, you guys. Thank you for playing with me on this. T. The city sent me a note demanding I cut down the overgrowth or be fined. I am required to obey the jurisdictions of my species. So I hacked, cut, gathered, and composted. U. I climbed the wall with gloved hands and a saw, cutting limbs, branches, twigs, and leaves, collapsed onto the sidewalk, filling the gutter. V. I drilled silver lightning onto the fence for the vine to cling to. Please leave the tree alone. W. Now they are with each other, but they are not each other. X. I've been writing plants insects, birds, and tiny fallen amber dust of leaves. But all the H sapiens I know are sounds emitted from a screen. Why? With any luck, all the alone people will enjoy an explosion of tenderness when the pandemic is done or contained in a dumpster. Z. Meanwhile, we are here, watching the vine dance in the breeze and the avocado leaves rumble.
Wow.
Wow, that's a really, really intimate connection with a garden, you know.
Wow. A to
Yes,
Z.
yes. You know, so a lot of the time we can think about nature as if it exists without human beings being in it, you know. And but we are actually part of the whole thing, isn't it? And I think our appreciation of nature enriches the whole story. I mean, it's part of us, and it's not just existing by itself, you know. And so, thank you very much, Amy, for this wonderful poem. And I share the hope in why about everything becoming much better when the pandemic is over or it's bottled up in a dumpster. We can't wait. So that's us. What's your
Yes,
take?
yes, Martin. Very beautiful poetry to think that children will be learning A to Z,
Mhm,
but that's just as I talked about the role of a poet.
mhm,
We see the beauty in everything. We see poetry in everything.
mhm,
We come to everything with a critical eye.
mhm,
So we aim to say things differently than the regular person would say it,
mhm,
or to see things different than the regular person would say it.
mhm,
Now, on a poet as a wanderer, a poet as somebody relating with nature, I believe my name says it.
mhm.
I throw this jab and tell them that if typically we're talking about the Captain Planet, this would be Captain Planet. And Asaase literally translates as
Yeah.
King of the Earth. Why the Earth?
Mhm,
I love the Earth, what it represents,
mm,
because I believe it's the womb and the tomb that we go to,
mm,
so
mhm,
we are taken out of it. We spend our lives on it. When we are done, we go back into its
mm,
bosom. So I say in the beginning, God created woman, God created the earth, God created the womb, God created the tomb. And as Africans, we pay high reverence to the earth. We
mm,
even have days for it.
mm,
Among others, it's
mm.
Asaase, yeah, others, it's
Right.
Ifwa. We offer drink to it. Our food comes out of it.
Mm,
We curse the earth. The earth blesses. It's really symbolic.
yeah.
And as a poet, I see myself reflecting different elements of nature or
Mm,
interacting a lot with
mm,
nature.
mm.
Can I just go?
Yes.
I am a child of the sky, planted in the wombs of the earth. I'm a bundle of eternal power handed down many wells of knowledge, from which monarchs have drunk and left for generations yet to enter the thoughts of time. This manly dance of mortals lacks rhythmic color without my drum and songs, yet I am a lonely dreamer, traveling to distant homes, to nurse my germinating journeys, to seed my adventures as fruit for my daring. I'm a jubilating fruit swinging the visible rhythms of a breezy day. I remain the hefty tongue of conscience, housed in the cheeks of time, awaiting the next eternity to speak light in this chaos of the world. While in the meantime, waiting to lose my Ghanaian nationality and hoping to take on full ever. I reached the bottom of Afajato and I saw the valley pour. I stopped only to pay my salute. In vertical waves, the valley comes down, chanting its unending chorus together with the bats snoozing in the crevices. The ripples make for the pebbled shore, only to be replaced by others. To the right, the water finds an escape, sneaking its way through the canopied forest to bring its tribute to the mighty Volta. With crystal conscience, the pool shows its entrails. The eternal shower sprays life. Furthermost above West Africa, from a little crevice in Afajato, does the Virgin find her strength. Thank you.
Tell me, and an Asaase. I mean, just because of the connection with Afaja
Yes.
too. Was this written on site? Did you go there or
Yes, I
something?
went to.
Mm,
I've been there.
mm,
I always think of the serpent and the nine bridges.
mm,
the water keeps sneaking its way from the mouth of the waterfall,
Mhm.
and you take 9 bridges before you get there.
Right.
So I see the serpent you cross with 9 bridges only to reach the pools of eternal life.
Wow.
If that's what you choose to call that fire, because when the valley comes down, it's such a beautiful spray, and then when it's very powerful,
Mm.
you hear the ripples all the way through. The sound it makes. You can imagine a very fiery serpent just going through and going
Wow.
beneath you. But it's such a beautiful scene. It's such a powerful thing.
Mm.
If you see the way the water snakes its way, and then you think that it also contributes to the Volta, the longest in Africa, isn't it? I mean, one of the biggest lakes,
Lakes, yeah.
man-made lakes. So the thing that the Vli starts from a small portion up there, comes out, we see its beauty. Nobody really sees the story behind all the struggle.
Mm.
That takes a seed to grow. That takes a waterfall to sprout. We enjoy its beauty. Then it comes down, and its song recedes back to its source, only for the cycle to start all over again. So it's just like everybody holding their little corner. That is how the earth keeps spinning
Mm.
on its axis.
Mm.
And that is the story of nature for me as a poet.
I think
Sure.
it connects well with what I would feel about
Yeah.
nature. The again the connectedness,
Yeah.
and then you have even brought in the whole idea of beginnings, and as you were talking about the flow of the water, I see that also as a journey,
Thank you.
yeah. So that is something from Afaja too, and really thank you very much for that
Pleasure.
as well. Amy, do you have anything to say about Nana Asase's poem? Perhaps otherwise we can go on to the next thing.
I feel like I have a poem for Nana's
Oh, that's
poem.
okay.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Sometimes that happens. Like you realize the poems know each other before you even talk about it. Like they're already in relationship, even though.
You know?
So yes, I mean I feel like I have a poem for his poem
Okay.
that's kind of related to our next issue too. So maybe if you introduce the next one and then
Right. So what we
I'll
want to
let
talk.
them be friends. I'll let the two poems
Yeah.
be
So
friends.
our poems are actually friends already. That's nice.
Yes. So what we want to talk about also is the poet's voice as a companion for fellow humans. I carry along with me every time I travel Christopher Okigbo's book Labyrinths. I took this book from my father's library sometime, I think in 1998, and it's been with me. I read it all the time, and I really know that many people carry special poems with them throughout their life. What is the voice of the poet as a companion to other people in this journey of life? And this is the next theme that we want to talk about. And Amy has a poem that is a friend to Nana's as his poem, but also touches on this theme.
So these kind of bridge because in the last poem I heard you talk about Ghanaian nationality, and I felt it as a very sacred poem. And this poem is related to companion for fellow humans, and for lots of people who are parents, and especially mothers who bring humans out of their bodies. Um, one of the biggest companionships of our lives is actually through our relationship to our children. And this poem seems to live outside of me because it's been translated now into Mazateco, Chinanteco, Spanish, Mandarin, Igbo, etc. So it has its own little life, and it's a friend with Nana Sase's poem.
Yes.
It's called Borderless. My body is pulled by the heavens, infinite space without nationality. Borderless sky of darkness, living and dead light. Moon recognizes every mother on earth, her cycle, her blood, her ability to reproduce stars. The Border Patrol doesn't care. It has orders from the incandescent White House to separate children from their constellations. Nature means nothing. A river, a plain, a family, nothing. Even the Milky Way is undocumented.
When
Wow.
you think about the really big things, how
Yeah.
could you
How
document
could
it?
you?
Even the Milky Way is
It's
undocumented.
undocumented.
In many ways, it's narrow thinking. All these
Yeah.
borders
Try
and
and
things.
box
Really.
people and
Um, and there are lines in there that I just have to put them down. Like the moon recognizes every mother on Earth. And that, once you start to elevate your view, all these barriers start to fade away. And I think that many people who have gone outside the Earth,
yeah.
in terms of people who have visited, for example, the ISS, the International Space Station, will really say that the Earth looks really very fragile. It's a lovely little single unit. And I'm just wondering, if you go that far out, what does
Wow.
a border mean?
What does a border mean? Wow. Martin, you realize this takes me back to the drum we typically beat of colonialism and all of that. We don't look at it and say a bigger picture like this. If we come to West Africa, check all the languages we
Mm.
speak. You keep hearing words from each of these languages, and you realize we're just one people.
Mm-hmm.
What do these borders truly mean?
Mm-hmm.
From that height, what do these borders truly mean? When
Yeah.
you ascend, when you are finally dead, when you're finally gone,
Mm.
when you're finally sick, and the doctor who needs to attend to you is wearing the other political color,
Mm.
or is from another place whose language you cannot speak, yet he recognizes the disease you suffer.
Yeah.
At that point, what is the essence of the border?
Mm.
At that point, what is the essence of your religion that's different than the other person's?
Mm. Mm.
If you're so thirsty and you have to buy water, and the person who can sell water to you is the one whom in your hometown you're not supposed to greet,
Wow.
what happens?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
borders, really.
Yes. The
The
borders, the
moon
barriers,
can recognize every matter. I will read you the shrine and the mosque.
Beautiful.
The shrine and the mosque. Okay, let's go on this one. They stand on two junctions, each with a jawbone to sneer the other, at the tip of the descent into the distant valley of radiant cells. Light and smoke blow over stained waters to set the gush free, to set the gush free of bile and fire trapped in the corners of her mind. Let me be wafted to Paradise like sweet incense song in the heart of a newlywed devotee. Leave me be with wings like childish dreams, with lofty destinations like Canaan and Mecca. Lend me a secret path to Dahomey, to see the Kaaba and pray to Fatima, the shrine and the mosque.
Wow.
Yes. I love that. I love
Yes.
that. Ooh.
You've talked to me about this
Yes,
poem
you
before,
know.
and I like that it's touching on this whole thing of
Yes, yes.
interconnectedness, of what are really these barriers.
What are really these barriers?
Yeah. But just let's sidetrack a little. You mentioned Dahomey.
Dahomey.
Is there any special significance for you
Dahomey.
choosing Dahomey?
Yes.
That
So
that
anytime I mention Dahomey, I must mention Dahomey for. So we talk of Dahomey,
mm-hmm.
the home of the serpent and of the rainbow.
Mm.
It was these lines that got me writing poetry
Oh, really?
ever.
Mm.
So Dahomey is a
Wow.
big place among African traditional practitioners,
Mm-hmm.
especially voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
There is a temple dedicated to the snake and the rainbow god
Oh, okay.
in Dahomey.
Mm.
It's such a big thing.
Yeah.
And so, in mentioning the various points, we were talking about Christians, we were talking about Muslims.
Mm.
Why not the traditional elements? Bring it home
Mm.
as well.
Mm.
So, Dahomey is such a big place for me personally. I think we'll
Right.
get into that story another time. Yes. And so, that was the picture that Dahomey brought to me.
Mm.
The serpents, the snakes down here, and the rainbow up above.
Mm.
Where are these borders really?
Yeah. It's really very interesting. Actually didn't know this about Dahomey,
Yes.
and it is really very poetic,
Ouida,
actually.
Ouidah. It's
Uh,
in a place called Ouida. I don't know
right.
how the name is
Okay.
pronounced. Yes,
The serpent and the
the
rainbow.
home of the serpent and of the rainbow.
Wow, it's very poetic. So as we keep talking about the whole idea of the
Yeah.
poet's voice, one of the things that we get is comfort in times of grief. And I think that because poets also experience this very powerful,
Yeah.
tragic human emotion. They've spoken about it. Let's hear some poetry on grief. What is your take from poet's perspective? And so, again, we'll take it from Amy. Amy, anything to share on this theme?
I guess as we shift to grief, I just wanted to respond to Nana and say that since my family right now is calling in from Bahia, that Nana Buluku and also Shumare are parts of our family's faith on that part of my family. And they're with their grandmother, who's considered to be associated with Oshumare, which is the rainbow part, but it also has Nana Buluku, like the grandmother energy. Yeah. So.
Oh. See the
The
connections.
the connections.
The poems already know each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Now on to grief. It's kind of sad. I realized I had a lot of sad poems, and now hanging out with this particular poet, I feel like I need more joy poems. So I'm going to be working on that. That'll be my goal for the next. So interestingly, also, Dr. Martin distinguished between grief and loss and also another topic, which is kind of sad. So grief and loss. We're on grief and loss, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to read one about grief and loss. It's about family. Evacuation. A poem and 2 postscripts. In the field of a family, there was empty space. Outlines, outskirts of bodies once related, determined to exit the scene, follow another north. A woman, a man, a grown child bent on departure. Each character vacates the scene, no honey left on their plates. The woman leaves first, her eye on another feeling. The man leaves next, the back of his head exits the courtyard. The child is the last to go, starshot from an arrow. Witness the unmaking of a family. The simultaneous demise of an idea. I could have been her or him or their offspring, but I was the space between them, their observer. Oxygen entered and exited their skin sculptures. Nitrogen, argon, carbon dioxide. When air left the room, the field became a gray wall. Nothing would grow or perish. A memory vacuum, aching quiet. Flight attendants wave their 2 fingers left and then right, exits on either side by the wings, but everyone knows a thin orange life vest won't save you from the descent. Smack against an enormous ocean. We will fall apart. When their story ended, everyone had some place to go but me. I was without a want, a torso, or destination. I was only a record of the space between them, bloated and expanding. Hearts unfastened, death's sibling. Terror clutched my imagination. The turmoil was not the man or the woman, the child or the courtyard, the home, or their paths away from each other. The pain was all the glass breaking, wind sweeping the edges of their desolate invention, a space without feet or words, cold blue, wallless in its eternity. How to unmake a world. Pretend for a moment the music stops. Flick off all the lights. P.S. How to unravel relations. Turn yourself inside out like a sock. Fling open the doors and windows. Erase the chalk pathways back. Point fingers at a distant sun. P.P.S. Prayer over the ruins. Outside the frame, pink, fallen eucalyptus leaves soak in a puddle of water, pooled on red brick. The wind ruffles branches in a grove of trees on a mountain that is not dead. Nothing that matters can be invented or maligned.
Wow. And this thing about the connection now is transcending into how the words connect with emotion. There's this line that goes, "Nothing that matters can be invented."
Nothing matters.
Once the theme is on grief, for example, I would like to find out from you, Amy, how personal is this poem for you? If it's not a hard question to ask.
No, it's very personal. It was a dream that I had where I saw a compound from up above, and I was processing my own grief over loss. But the thing about it that I think that Nana Asaase speaks to too is sometimes the poem is very personal, but the voice is beyond us. It's just like, for example, in this poem, I'm not the woman. I'm the space, or the poem is the space in between them. And I think by occupying a position other than myself, I was able to give words to a human emotion that I'm not proud of. I don't like it. I don't like that I can write a sad poem, actually. I'd rather only write happy poems. But it has to go somewhere. And once it lives outside your body, and it is a part of the human experience, and rather than holding it inside, once it lives outside of your body, I think we can then be free to evolve with compassion and understanding.
Martin, I would like to put compassion and understanding of personal and then collective grief. As a poet, I've had to write dirges, not just write, call dirges for people. I wonder if anybody ever wonders how the one calling the dirge feels to carry the weight of everybody's burden at that instant. Everybody is crying. And they said, okay, because we are all crying, you come and share some beautiful poetry, some of these things. Can you imagine you're carrying the weight of everybody's emotion in that room
at the same time? Grieve on our behalf.
It is not a simple thing. So I was talking about the poet. We carry so many things on us, so many things in us. We cannot express them in regular everyday language. That is why the poet's tongue is a bit different at times. So the grief might belong to you, but as Amy says, the voice might be external. This is a piece I titled "He Lived and Left a Life Behind." I'm tempted to pick between this and "The Night Before Freedom Comes." Pick random by title.
So the first title again?
He lived and left a life behind.
And then
the second is "The Night Before Freedom Comes."
Okay, so let me hand this choice over to Amy.
Okay, Amy, which one would it be?
Which one would you want to listen
to? My gosh. Repeat them, please.
So, he lived and left a life behind, and "The Night Before Freedom Comes."
Oh, gosh. I'm just going to say I want to hear both of them. So, I can't decide. I respect your poetry too much. Anything you want to share, poet?
I knew that would be the
okay, so from the audience, we have
"The Night Before Freedom Comes" is actually number 4 sequences. It talks not only about the slave. It doesn't limit the narrative to the slave trade. It expands on the gates of no return, which was a threat, and beyond the return. But this is poetry that was written years ago, almost 2009.
Okay.
It comes with a song, but I can't sing all the song here. The song says, "We will go, we will go, we will go, we will go home. The cock crowed at noon today. I will call our song of sorrows in the house of the moon. I will rub my palms in the face of the sun, and he can do nothing about it. This is a riddle. Virgins were broken at night. Sons were born by day. The frozen insolence of Akwesiada desecrated our altars. Ours was the last story. We lifted our songs to the red womb of the sky. Our shoulders harmed the edges of our guilty innocence. The golden black ivory had lost its shimmer. They prided in the drab white walls of their citadels and locked them up in the cold stony faces below, while they chanted hallelujahs to the unknown God. They also stared at the blank and motionless sky for hope, from their gods or from nowhere which they knew might never come. They sang songs of sorrow and recounted story of their free selves outside these walls, of home and the family they would see no more in a long time but today through the eyes of their hope. They mocked them with the libations of holy water and drove them shackles and on all fours through those doors of no return. But we have walked through these doors of return. We who are the glory of the seats, of the heads bowed and backs broken yesteryears ago. We will go, my brothers, draw near and hear. Weep no more on your mats at night when you lie on your breaking backs and look intensely at the blank sky of your hearts. Sleep on the hope of morning, our glory shrouded in impotent smokes of uncertainty. Do not despair for the sake of the heartless kings who cling on to stores of immortality. Their days will soon be spent, or else they will wake up that morning to find our shells empty. Let them then rule over the chattels. We will be freer men than we dreamed to be. We will go. Today we honor the living memory of the great dead, but tomorrow we shall be told of in word and song. We shall be remembered as the heroes of yesterday. We shall look back on the lands we tilled and the edifices we built and take pride in our living memories and the greater deeds of our seeds. These great ones have labored. Let them enjoy their hard-earned titles and thrones and rest. When our tasks are done, we will also go. Yes, indeed, we will go. We will go beyond the horizons of this place, to the welcome of our forebears, to the drumbeats by the ancestral firesides. We will go from this place when our days are spent. The memories of our footprints would outlast our age, big, small, all the way to the gates of that beyond of no return. We will go.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
There's a message here. There's one here from Facebook, and it says, this is from Sabata Mfomokai.
Ah.
He's joining on
Sabata.
Facebook. It says, greetings from Kimberley, South Africa. What a wonderful session. We want more. Amy, Shimson-Santo, and Asaase. And Martin, we
Sabata.
want,
It's
we
good to
want
hear from
more.
him.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's great to hear from you, Sabata. And then there is one from Instagram. It says, the duty of the one that delivers the dead is the epitome of the expression stepping into one's shoes.
Pressure.
The KK seller's son. Okay, so this is what the KK So, yeah.
Wow.
So the duty of the one that delivers the dead
Delivers.
is the epitome
Epitome.
of expression. You know, what you were talking about, the weight
Yes.
of you carrying the grief of everybody. I haven't performed, well, I don't even perform poetry, but I
Mm.
can't imagine standing forth and say, let me cry for you.
Hey. No, you just gave me another title, please. I'm going to write
Let
this
me cry
poem.
for
Let
you.
me cry for you.
That's what we've been doing though. That's what we've been doing, and
Please.
it isn't easy.
We need to
It
Yeah.
create
isn't
this
easy.
poem.
Yeah,
Wow.
actually.
Let me cry for you. Please, next time I come to the Righteous Project, I'll read that.
Next time you come to the
Let me cry for you.
you will cry for us.
I'll come and cry
After
for
Martin.
Okay, so we will keep reading the messages as they come through. But Nanasa, I like that poem. There's one line. I mean, I'm jotting down the lines that just
Okay.
strike me.
Strike
and
you.
I'm putting down quite a lot. And there was this line that said, "We will be freer than we dreamed to be."
Yes.
And that is fantastic. I mean, everybody has a thought of what freedom looks like to
Yes.
them. But how about if that freedom comes and it transcends all your expectations? That's fantastic.
Yes. And we're talking about freer than we dream to be in terms of, having oppressors. Let me use the Ghanaian economy for an example. And so the young people down there who are hoping to eventually make it out, or whoever you are, whichever situation in which you are, maybe your GPA is not really adding up. And then one day you wake up and, sorry for this morbid sense, the lecturer is either dead or you are dead. then you don't have the burden of the probable 5:30 to whichever hustle it is.
Yeah.
All those borders will still be meaningless
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
Then, with all respect, let that lecturer who would not budge on the GPA go give grades to whoever it is. Sorry, but when you get into an elevated state,
Yeah.
then certain things don't really matter anymore. All the things that are supposed to be suffering then vanish. They just dissolve into nothingness.
Yeah.
That is what I see in freer than we typically expect. Or now you are supposed to be walking into an interview, you are sweating because you probably run late in traffic and all of it. And you run into this hall. I'm coming for an interview. I walk in there, and that is Martin sitting at the head of the panel. See, no matter how tough that interview is going to be, man, I'm just going to. I'm a freer man than I thought I would
Yeah.
ever be. So really, I think we all aim to be free in one way or the other. And life and what we are trapped in itself is too much of a burden. So poetry helps us to just breathe
Yeah.
free, freer when you're able to express yourself. Maybe it has to be just on the page, because if you're addressing it straight to the king, you should know that when you are done, your neck could be another issue for discussion. So please check where you express your freedoms.
as somebody who has been performing before royalty, I'm sure you know how to guard your neck.
I tell you.
And you mentioned, Amy and myself. I suppose sometimes the students will see us as the people who are actually holding on to their grade points, but
You're obstructing people's destinies.
that's not really the case. Okay, so let's now take the next
Okay.
theme, and what we want to do, especially in these times, is to try and figure out how do we handle a fear of the future. When the corona hit, the COVID-19 situation hit, one of the things that happened was people were thinking, how are we going to get out of this? Is what's going to happen to everybody? Is this the end of life as we know it? There was a lot of fear, and it's not gone. People are afraid for the future. How does the poet's voice address this, Amy?
There's a couple of little things I wanted to read for this. I'll do it swiftly. One is, I think, to hold the truth. Let us hold the truth. Let us speak truthfully to ourselves and each other. And let us try with our voices to hold our worlds accountable to a future. So, for example, in this short poem, it's really not done yet, but I'm going to share it because it's on topic, I think, called Ememorium. It begins, I am trying to learn how to walk on cement without disturbing the dead. My eyes have seen the way a body looks against the concrete, a line of children and elders carrying snacks, the body collapsed, unsleeping, another everyday break in who we were told we were. Bodies witness bodies lose their sovereignty on the pavement. People are being laid to rest on the street beside bicycles and automobiles, witnessed by people who are still learning how to write and read. Children wondering, what will it be like to become an adult? So I think as poets or as people, we can constantly keep speaking truth instead of falsities to the present, reimagining the past in more accurate ways, and then also holding ourselves accountable for what seems unimaginable now, which is what is required to have a future. We must be able to imagine a future, and it's not. And we here we are right now, right? Here we are right now. So I think that's where we say truth, character, connection, right?
Yeah.
There is a power in that. One of the things I've been thinking a lot about is like, who do I want to be in relationship to during the pandemic? Who will I no longer be in relationship to in the pandemic? And part of that desire is what brought me together with you guys today through friendships.
Yeah.
Is to know, we want to be in truthful relationship and communication globally because our different local conditions are not really being expressed always as expansively and as truthfully. And any future will come from a truth.
I really
Any
like that.
livable future.
Asaase,
Yes,
the foundation must be truth, right?
simple as that.
Yeah.
You realize that the future, tomorrow is the future.
Tomorrow is the future.
10
and
minutes from now is the future.
Right. And you see that this whole idea of basing your perspective of the future on a falsehood, I think that is what I hear Amy saying. It has to be based on truth. Else, I mean, it's like you are really wandering in the dark.
Yes.
I mean, it makes the trepidation even worse,
Yeah.
because even the foundation is lost.
No.
And yeah.
The future is not necessarily everything we expect. The future could also be things we are to do, or we aim to do, or things we will do.
Yeah, I think it also connects with what Amy said.
So in as much as there is truth in what we are expecting or what we also aim to do, the future is being established. Truth is, in the next 40 minutes, if everything goes according to plan, we shall all go home.
Yes.
Now, whether we like it or not, as it looks, it will come.
Yes.
We're expecting that time to come. And when that time comes, we're expecting to also do something. And so COVID is here beyond the pandemic. There are things that we would still own, like our names, our lives, our families. What do we decide to deliberately do with these things? That is what will define our reality. What if COVID has come to stay and will not go? It's come to alter our lives in different ways. And so we shouldn't expect that one morning we will sleep and wake up and time has rewinded and it never was.
Right.
That would not be realistic.
Yeah.
That would not be true.
Yeah.
It is here. It is real. How do we salvage what remains of it? I have a very simple poem I wrote. You will leave Africa, this place you cannot call home. I will summon all the slippers in my neighborhood to clap at your shame. I wrote this for COVID-19. You.
Oh. See, it doesn't take much. It just takes the real thing.
And you see, among the ever, there's this song culture called Halu. So, insinuation. Let me call it insinuation. So we know this young man has been stealing goats. We won't go and confront him. Where is my goat? No. So all the women gather and they come and pass behind your window. If you know you have been stealing goats, stop it. We have seen you. That's day one. Day two. By day three, you know that you are the owner of the insinuation. So among that, I see you are the. So nobody is telling you you stolen my goats. Indirectly, everybody is telling you. So I tap from that element and I'm telling COVID, hey man, this is not space for you. So I'm going to call the slippers in my neighborhood. I'm going to call everybody, collective action, collective effort. And we're going to kick you out because there's no way you can call this place home.
Right.
And so I'm expecting a future where all Africans realize this is something we need to do. Everybody needs to mask up. Everybody needs to wash their hands. Everybody needs to observe what hygiene is. Everybody needs to take up their own place. Bring your slippers along. Let us clap COVID out of this place. Let us own the future. It is, though it's a gift we expected, we also owe some responsibility to it.
Right. So we also make our future.
It's very important.
Fantastic. And now we've actually run beyond 8 p.m. The conversation has been flowing so well, and so we'll extend the program a little bit more. But now, Asaase, I don't know, did you respond on the theme of grief, or was that the Hello poem, the short piece?
Grief was the previous one.
Grief was the previous one. Okay, so I'm sorry. Did you respond on the theme of fear of the future?
I just finished it.
That's it. Okay.
I just finished it.
Now, here we tend to comfort and hope. We also reach to poetry when we want to strengthen ourselves.
Okay.
Comfort and hope in the voice of a poet. Amy?
Yes. Okay, so this poem is a funny poem because it came while I was sleeping, and it's called Autobiography of Air. And it surprised me, and I think it has to do with what Nana Asaase was saying about the future. This poem goes back into the past, to tell something to the past that the past needed to know, that the past didn't understand. But also, so I've recently felt that the future has come to my life and ripped me out of situations I shouldn't have been in to make sure my future was not wrong, not the wrong future for me. So time, I think, is kind of a made up thing. I mean, you're a physicist, you know time is invented. But this is a poem kind of about that. And the thing that surprises me the most is the third part. There's 3 footnotes in this poem. 1, look down upon the quiet, an apartment with a crib and a door. Night circulates through the passageways, a pregnant woman, an infant, 2 clouds. Container of oxygen, a living room and a bedroom, 34 degrees north, 118 degrees west. Absent from the scene is the father of a family, his body 5,952 miles south. The mother clasps her hands and presses her back against the wall. She watches her toddler sleep, follows the cadence of his calm in and out halations. The air in the space colludes against her, just me, my babies, and 5 million gallons of cold empty. Here comes the future. 27 years later, the woman returns to the scene, a storyteller. She plants music where there was echo, movement where inertia froze solid, warm water where ice halted. She bends pillows out of stone, buries tree roots where wind scraped the plains flat, plants praise on lips and in sentences. Praise your planks and burrows. She hums to her former self. Bent needle woman, sleepy, midnighted, I claim you as any woman can claim a thing of value. Plant a self by your own river. See what grows.
See what grows.
And
Wow.
you know, again, this same sort of thing I asked about the poem on grief, you know, and Amy, um, this also is a poem of comfort. And just like the grief could have come from a personal place, comfort also may, in fact, it may have been written to comfort yourself.
Yes.
Where did this poem spring from?
It came in when I was sleeping. I keep a little notebook by my bed, and I wrote little lines from it in my sleep. But it made me laugh. I don't know, Nana Asaase. Nana, do you feel this way too? Sometimes a poem comes and you're like, "What the heck? It's
Where
so
did this come
crazy."
from?
You know, what are you trying to say? So I think it's funny that I laugh at that poem. And sometimes when people are reading my little book, I tell women to go to that specific page, the 3rd footnote, and I say, just read that little part because
Just
it
that
came
little
to
part.
make us feel better.
Wow.
All right. So, from what collection is the 3rd footnote?
I'll put a link in the chat. It's called here, I have it with me. It's called this. Even the Milky Way is undocumented.
It's
Right.
undocumented.
Okay. So
The
that's the one.
popular one.
Even the Milky Way is undocumented.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Let me just read 2 comments. There's a comment from Zoom, and this is from Mariska Araba, and it says that what would it be like to become an adult? We all dreamt about this when we were in school. Now we are adults. We wish we were young again.
The reality is the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's this other message. It's from Rita Arthur, and she sent this on Instagram. Says poetry is indeed the ultimate freedom, even if only on paper. But you know, I think that because freedom actually would originate also from your
From
mind,
the mind.
even if it's on paper, it actually is
From the
true
mind.
freedom.
From the mind.
Yeah. So
100%.
let's now move to the final set of readings. No, you've not given us your
No, I
comfort.
haven't.
Yes,
My
let's
comfort.
comfort us.
Okay. So would it be mother or it would be albino?
Okay.
Which one would it be? Mother, albino? Let's take a quick vote. Hello,
Okay.
Amy. Which one would it be? Mother or albino?
You're asking me to curate for you, my
Yes.
friend. You're the expert.
Mother albino.
Okay, let's ask our friend who gave us the title.
Mother or albino?
Albino. Okay.
Albino. It's been a while since I read this piece. Do not keep my greeting for too long, lonely wanderer. It will grow cold. Send it swiftly to the door of my patient mother. She waits through the rigor of the night and outlasts the day too, holding fast to her lantern of hope. I left home on an untold day, before the cock could find its voice to raise the alarm. Mama came to my heart to wake me up, only to find me prey to the wind. Maybe she screamed for her neighbors or she searched for me first. Maybe Mama shed tears and seemed inconsolable. But know this for certain, that she sat in the dust in the middle of her compound, beat the earth 3 times with both hands, placed them on her chest, and smiled. Albino.
You know, when I heard the title the first time, I thought, is this going to be hope or is it going to be, because you know that there has been there have been these news reports,
Yes.
especially from
Yes.
the southern parts of this continent,
Yes.
about grief being done to people because
Good.
they
This
are
poem was actually
albinos.
written in response to that. This
Okay.
is written years ago.
Mm,
You know, so this is an albino child who says his mother came to wake him up, only to find him prey to the wind. The wind had taken him. He had left. He got wind of whoever was coming for him,
right.
and he left beforehand.
Okay.
And so all the neighbors come in. The woman is crying, but he says, look, be sure, even if she cried, she did all of that. Finally, deep in her heart, mother knows the child is alive.
Okay.
And so she sits in the dust in the middle of her compound, beats the earth 3 times with both palms, places them on her chest, and smiles.
There is hope.
In the flatulence of the beach.
There is
Wherever her child is home, child is safe.
Yes. Wow, that's a lovely piece. That's a
Albino.
lovely piece. And now we come to the final set of readings. And just as we did when we started, we would like to allow for the poets to choose a theme. But let's just take this question before we wind up. And this actually comes to both of you. It's, what form would poetry take when language fails? And this is from Animax, who is joining us on Instagram. What form would poetry take when language fails?
When language fails. Okay. The
That's-
professors will start.
I think poetry can take any form. I actually think that we're limited in our imaginations and that poetry belongs to that shapeless thing like music, sound, almost like the water that we started off with. I think it can fill any vessel. As a writer, that's how I feel. I mean, we could sit here and worry, is it structured properly and does the establishment of publication agree with our words? Or we can sing and we can dance and we can improve our lives. And that's what poetry is here for.
Yes.
We're immediately publishers and authors ourselves with our own bodies and our own relations and our own spaces.
The person is asking the form poetry would take when language
fails.
There will always be language. Maybe if the voice as we hear it audible fails. But poetry is spoken in different languages. I have an answer to him. This answer comes from a fountain in Ekwafu Hall, January 24th, Monday, 2011. Moment of sober reflection 3. I smell the fragrance of the showers. I hear each note of the song. Life is hard, but life is good. Come and wash your cares off. The farmer and family relishing the pot on the island in the pond. The sun passes in silence. The grass and trees stand in audience. Many have and more will walk this stone ring. This scene may stand as long as I can't tell. Language has failed. The water may soon dry up, but this poem lives in my heart, and the song is in the pond. And so when language fails, you have all your answers in there.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's about communication, right? When language fails, there are other forms of
Other
communication.
forms.
I know the fountain you are talking about.
Yes,
so-
you've seen that the hunter, the farmer in Shada's FTA. Somebody forgot so far.
yeah, that even makes it much more poignant for me, your poem. There's a message also from Daniel on Facebook. He's answering the question and he says that it can take the form of silence
Yes.
when people are left to listen to their thoughts for a few seconds.
Yes.
And that is true.
Yes.
Of course, I mean, the whole idea of a silent poem from a poet sometimes doesn't work too well, but as for reflection, for sure, I really like this answer, taking the form of silence. And that is from Daniel. There is a message here. I think that this might be from Instagram. It says it's from Grandpa Kujo and says thought-provoking pieces and poetry. I wish I was there in person. Definitely writing and let me cry for you piece. Okay, so he's also going to write
Please, a lot of people will be careful. For all the good reasons.
yeah. And this unfortunately is
Lasho.
about it,
Oh.
This was the poem without any theme. You were supposed to choose your
Yes.
theme, and
Themeless. Okay.
you've was that a response, or is the poem without
No,
a
the
theme?
poem. I have a poem without a theme, but you see, ladies first, so she gets to pick the theme, and
Okay,
I might just.
excellent. We'll do that, and then we'll take the final comments. And for all those joining us,
Okay.
I have two announcements to make as well about future readings, and they are actually very exciting. The next one we'll have here is on the 28th, and I will tell you who is going to be in this seat. But now we come to the final set of readings, and Amy.
Okay, so this was not what I was planning on reading, but it seems appropriate with the question that came about what form will poetry take when language fails. And then also, I agree with Nana's comment that there will always be language. I mean, yes, but this seems appropriate. It's called The Family Drum, and I dedicated it to my son, Avila. Tum da da tum da da bum 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 bum, flurry of palms. My son's cupped hands touch the leather of the drum. Open, open, close, 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 close. His freed arms, quick, loose, and liberated, map sonic choreographies calculated from precise polyrhythmic targets. His knees pinch against the wooden drum, feet perched to a point on the floor, elbows bent, his forearms levitate, parallel to the earth. His dark curls tremble. They are quivering tentacles of Wawanko. He invents orchestrations from bone and skin, leather and wood, time and space. When he plays, he thinks with his back, his shoulder blades, his hands weave sound with beats and breaks. His sonic tapestry quakes the living room floor. His rhythms filter into me from 3 dimensions. Percussive pulses shake the soles of my feet, rise from the ground through my knees, rib cage, shoulders, neck, the crown of my head. He writes in the air with invisible vibration, and I read them with my eyes closed. Phrases, punctuation, fiction, friction, revive me in reverberation, and our home becomes music biome of homespun sound.
I didn't know the one you were going to read instead, but I'm very happy you chose this one, Amy. And this says that really we should find that book, We
It is
actually should find a
even the
copy.
Milky Way.
Yes, it's undocumented, and we have to find that book and read it. So, Nanasa,
Yes, Doc.
yes.
So the Hugbegedi of the Jogede is the apogee of a matter. I say the Hugbegedi of the Jogede is the apogee of a matter. It is the court beyond appeal. It is the count ad infinitum. It is the feeding ad libitum of all our human tendencies. The Hugbegedi of the Jogede. Mother drama. You call the steps of life, prophecies from the corners of the soul. Mother, strike Donu. Share mysteries too ancient for the tongue to know, and the ancients will dance. These strokes are birth chords handed down. 2 steps in paradise, a strand of hair and eternity. Keep playing, and we shall foment love for our clan and for the breast that gave us the milk of life. Our steps are fast and slow and steady, and our dance is learning to walk and grow. Mother drummer, Aisha, most delicate priestess of time and sound. Strike that uncertain song and summon the futures. Twins, rivers, a hunter's tale. We are a brave lot with the heart of a woman. Today, you struck your drum, and this history of the future was born. Mother drummer.
Ashe, 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 ashe. See how the
This
poems know each other
history
too?
of the future.
Our poems are friends.
Yes.
They should be writing letters to each other.
And before we end, there's a few
Yeah.
messages. This is from Kano Surubele, and he or she says that
Kano.
yeah, oh yeah,
Katleho.
Katleho, yes, of
Katleho.
course. Says I love that way of understanding poetry, Amy. Poetry has taken on any form it is in. We are poetry. Yeah, so water does that, right? Whatever
Water.
vessel you put it in,
Water.
and yeah. So this is from Kano. Yeah, it's good to hear from you. And then this is the Kinke Seller's son. Okay, it says poetry reaches out to all of our senses, and there is no one with none. 3 taps on the shoulder, a tickle on the knee, a hug from a person closer could set a soul free.
Charlie.
Yes!
Wow, that's the way to close it.
Yes, that is wow. So, ooh. So I think that will be the final message I'll read. But now I will wind up with a few announcements. So if you pardon me, let me go right ahead. Getting to the end of this month, we have several programs coming up. The first one is the Writers Projects of Ghana Book Club Show. And the book club show is going to be talking about Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. And this book, Open Water, is going to be reviewed by reviewers from the UK and Ghana. And this is something that goes on our Instagram live. So if you are already following us on Instagram, that's fine. But otherwise, on the I think that this will be on the Friday. So that's like 23rd, right? July 23rd is going to run on Instagram, WPG Book Club Show. And then on the 22nd, there's going to be the WPG online series, and we have a guest, Sapong O Asamoah. He's also going to be having a chat with Elizabeth Johnson on the online series. And so, yes, so the date for the book club show is the 30th, rather, on the 30th. And then I also have to say that on the 28th, right here, we are going to be having a reading with Ya JC. And so I picked up 2 of her books, Transcendent Kingdom, the more recent one, and then Homegoing, which was the book she burst onto the scene with. And so these books are going to be part of what will be read. And so Yajisi will be in conversation with Mamle Kabu and Elizabeth Johnson on the 28th of July. So that's something else you should watch out for. And finally, I would like to commend to you the book Accra Noir. This was recently published by Cassava Republic Press. It's edited by Nana Amadankwa. It features 13 stories in the noir genre, and so it's lots of murderous fun. So you can find this book and read it. And with that, I would like to say thank you to my guests, Nana Asaase, Amy Shimson-Santo. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Any final comments to end?
Oh, gosh, I will just say the world is smaller, my heart is bigger, and I really appreciate the chance to be together. And I'm so glad for the Writers Project of Ghana to create this space, hold this space locally and internationally. And I just applaud you and your important work.
Thank you.
On the back of that,
Yes.
let me just say it's always beautiful. It brings people like us to life to share our work with people who appreciate it. And it's good that you have the pleasure of watching us bear the pressure to deliver, so you enjoy and applaud. But at least you take something home with you, knowing that the poetry that we create is seated right there in you. It's been a pleasurable evening. I hope we get to do this again more often.
Sure. There's hope for the future.
The flatulence of the bee.
And so, for all those who also joined us here in person, we've come to the end of it. Thank you very much, and do have a pleasant evening, everybody.